Chinese made easy for kids. 轻松学汉语. Today we're going to have a look at 第10课. 我的学校. 我的学校. Can you remember what you can find from your school? So here we're going to have a look at different facilities or rooms that we can find in our school. 操场 操场 the playground. 礼堂 礼堂 the hall. 体育馆体育馆 the indoor gym. 电脑室电脑室 the computer room. 图书馆图书馆 the library. 教室教室 the classroom. 美术室美术室 the art room. 音乐室音乐室 the music room. 游泳池游泳池 the swimming pool. 小卖部小卖部 the mini mart. 停车场停车场 the car park. 你还记得这些地方吗？ Can you still recall what these areas are in your school? I'm going to highlight the place and you're going to have a look at the places and recall what they are. So, what is this place? 操场. And what about this? 教室. And what about this? 体育馆. And what about this? 图书馆. And what about this one? 礼堂. And what about this one? 小卖部. And this one? 停车场. And this one is 游泳池. And also 音乐室. And this one is 美术室. And the last one is 电脑室. Alright, let's do it again. And this time we're going to try that in a more random order. 小卖部图书馆操场教室停车场礼堂体育馆音乐室游泳池电脑室. Now I hope you can remember all of them And now let's have a look at this picture in our textbook. And here we can see the whole picture of a school. And then on the upper right corner, we can see extra words bank with these facilities or areas in the school. So these places are 美术室, the art room, 音乐室, the music room, 游泳池, the swimming pool, 小卖部, the tuck shop or the mini mart, 停车场, the car park. Now I'm going to say the words about different areas in the school, and can you try to locate these areas in this picture? Now, number 1, can you find 美术室? 美术室. It's here. And the second one is 音乐室. 音乐室. Can you find 音乐室? The music room. Yep, it's here. The third one is 游泳池. 游泳池. And it's here. And the fourth one, 小卖部. 小卖部. And it's here. 停车场. 停车场. And it's here. And of course, we've got more places. And I'm going to continue. Can you find 教室? 教室. And it's here. And then we can see there are 4 classrooms. The next one is 操场. 操场. And it's here. And next one is 电脑室. 电脑室. And it's here. Also, there is 体育馆. 体育馆. And 体育馆 is a place where you may see people doing sports or maybe dancing inside of it. So, here is the 体育馆. And next is 图书馆. 图书馆. And it's here. And the last one is 礼堂. 礼堂. And it's here. And also on the same page, we can see the sentence patterns to describe our school and what areas our school has. So we can use the sentence patterns of 这是我的学校. This is my school. 我的学校有. My school has. And then you can fill in different facilities or areas of your school. Now let's try to place these areas into the sentence pattern. 这是我的学校. 我的学校有教室, 音乐室, 美术室, 电脑室, 体育馆, 小卖部, 图书馆, 操场, 停车场, 礼堂和游泳池. Now, can you also try to talk about the school according to the picture? Now it's your turn. Let's learn the new words. The first one is 操 exercise. 场 It is an open place. 操场 is an open place for exercising, and it's basically a sports ground, a playground. 礼 ceremony. 堂 is a hall. 礼堂 is an assembly hall. 电脑室 computer room. So we can put these areas into a sentence pattern saying 我们学校有操场、礼堂、电脑室等等. So here the 等等 means etc. and so on, which means there are more areas or facilities in our school. 我们学校有操场、礼堂、电脑室等等. Our school has the playground, the assembly hall, and computer room, and so on. 我们学校有操场、礼堂、电脑室等等. And next word is 体 means body. Next one is 育 So 育 by itself means educate. 体育 is physical education, PE. 馆 is a place for cultural activities. So the gymnasium is the 体育馆, the indoor sports area. And next one is 图 picture. And 图书 means book. And then for the area where people can borrow and read books is also a place as such a reading cultural activity area. And then we call the library as 图书馆. And here we note that these two areas share the same last word, 馆, right? For the gym, it is called 体育馆, whereas for the library, it is called 图书馆. 体育馆, 图书馆. The next word is 教. And 教 here is a verb meaning teach. So the teaching room or the room where the teaching activity happens is the classroom, and it's called 教室. So the 室 is for room. Next one is 楼 floor. So when we are talking about the level of floor, we can simply count in Chinese numbers. For example, if my classroom is on the second floor, we can say 二楼. For example, 我的教室在二楼203室. Right, so the meaning of this sentence that we can figure out should be my classroom is at the second floor and it is in 203 room. Now in English we swap the position of room and the number, right? We say room 203, but in Chinese we put the room at the end. So let's read again. 我的教室 在2楼203室。我的教室在2楼203室。Now let's learn the text. 这是我的学校。我们学校有操场、礼堂、体育馆、电脑室、图书馆等等。我的教室在2楼203室。Now let's read again. 这是我的学校。我们学校有操场、礼堂、体育馆、电脑室、图书馆等等。我的教室在2楼203室。All right, now I'm going to use the normal speed to read the text and see whether you can follow. 这是我的学校。我们学校有操场、礼堂、体育馆、电脑室、图书馆等等。我的教室在2楼203室。Try again. 这是我的学校。我们学校有操场、礼堂、体育馆、电脑室、图书馆等等。我的教室在2楼203室。Now try it yourself. Now let's read this chant. 我的学校可真大，有教室，有礼堂，图书馆和体育馆，还有一个大操场。And let's do it again. 我的学校可真大，有教室，有礼堂，图书馆和体育馆，还有一个大操场。You can also try to replace these facilities or areas into some other ones. And now you can try by yourself. Now let's learn the characters and structures of this lesson. Now before we go ahead into lesson 10's characters and their structures, let's have a bit of a review of what we learned about the characters and the structures in lesson 9. So in lesson 9, we learned 3 types of structures. The first one is half enclosure one with the small square falling in the middle of the bottom line. And the characters related to these structures are Jin and Hui. And the second structure we learned last time is the left and right structure. Right? The particular one is xian, 现在的现. And one of the variation of this structure is there is a subdivision on the right-hand side. For example, there is a character of 说. And the third structure we learned last time is the top and bottom structure. And the 2 variations are, number 1, a subdivision on the top. An example for this variation is 想. Another subdivision is rather than dividing the whole structure into 2 parts, we can divide it into 3 parts from the top the middle to the bottom. And the particular example is yan, yan. Now I hope you can recall all of these characters and you have practiced all of these characters. Now, based on these learned structures, now today we're going to learn some more characters. And again, today's structure will start from those ones that we are already familiar with, right? So the first one is still the left and right structure. And we know this type of structure can go ahead to have some variations. And again, the first variation is, of course, a subdivision on the right-hand side. But today we're going to have a look at another variation, which has got a subdivision on the left-hand side. And then, with the structure of top and bottom, we can have the variation that we have already talked about in lesson 9. And with the half enclosure, or maybe complete enclosure structure, today we will have a look at this one. And in this one, you can see the little square right now moves to the middle of the bigger box, okay? And the writing sequence is the outside one and the middle one. But if we will need to close up the outside box, we will need to do the three-sided writing first, putting the content and then close the box. Now let's have a look at some real characters. The first one is 场, 场, which is an open area that we used in 操场, 操场, right? And then in this 场, we can see there are left side and right side. So to write this character in here, we can put in, right? So there is a mud or earth radical. And then on the right hand side, can you figure out how many strokes? Right, so basically this zigzag one is of one stroke, okay? So we just go. All right, so that's one stroke. And the second one and the third one. And this makes the 操场的场. Next one, 里 also fits within the left and right structure, right? So let's have a look at that. On the left hand side, 点 横撇 the 竖 and 点. And it's very straightforward for the structure, for the radical on the right hand side. Right? 礼 ceremony. All right, and next one falls within this structure is 体育的体 or 身体的体 means physical or body. And put in the left hand side. It has to do with a standing half person. Okay, 撇竖. And then on the right hand side, that's 横竖. Right? 撇 捺. And then there is a small horizontal line in here. 体 All right, now let's have a look at one of the variations of the left and right structure. Now the first one is 操场的操, the exercise one. And we can put the left hand side to the left side of the structure and then further divide the right hand side into an upper part and a bottom part. So left side first. 横竖钩. Now be careful, this one starts from the lower part and going up. So basically that's a tick. And then we will need to figure out what it is at the upper right corner. And you can see these are the repetition of the same character, which we have learned before, right? So if we break it down into each small part, each one is a call where we need to apply for the box rule. And then we repeat writing that in a pyramid structure. So basically the structure is 1, 2, and 3. So make sure with the same radical, you always put the first one at the top, right in the middle, with another 2, exactly the same, supporting it on both sides at the bottom. Okay, so make sure you do not write in other form. So we just go here. 竖横折横, all right? And then 竖横折横, and then we go 竖横折横, right? Now, if we look at the bottom part on the right-hand side, now which radical can we recall? Can we see that in 体育的体 on the right-hand side, we have already practiced this little radical more, okay? The only thing is we don't need the little horizontal line, and we just recycle it here. So 横竖撇捺, right? So this is the character for exercising 操场的操. And again, when you go home and practice these characters by yourselves, you don't have to practice the whole character over and over again. So pick out any structure or section that you feel not very familiar with, and you can specifically practice that little area until you get more familiar with that and assemble all the parts together to make the whole character. Okay? Now, another example within this variation is 图书馆的馆, 图书馆的馆. Now, it has got the left-hand side radical, and on the right-hand side, it can be cut down into 2 parts. So left-hand side first. 撇横钩, and then 竖提. So the left-hand side basically occupies the whole area. And then on the right-hand side, there is a top here. And we learned this top in lots of other characters. For example, 字, right? We learned it in this character. Or, 家, if you can still remember the looking of the home character. We use it a lot in other characters. And we just use it again, but not at the full top, but just a top on the right-hand side. So 点, 竖点, 横钩. All right. And then the right-hand side, the bottom part has got, it looks like there are 2 boxes connected with one left side vertical line. So we start from the left-hand side radical. Remember, we always apply the rules of writing from left to right, from top to bottom, right? So we go 竖, right? And because these are 2 boxes, we still follow half of the box rule, right? So again, this is 1 stroke. We close it off here. Leave some room, and we start to write the second box. 横折. We can make the second one slightly bigger than the first one, and we close it. And again, when you practice the character by yourself, you don't have to repeat writing it over and over and over again for lots of times. You simply break down into 3 sections: the left, right, the upper right corner, the bottom right corner sections. And then pick up the challenging ones and practice that one specifically for as many times as you need until you get more familiar with that. And in the end, you simply just put all the sections together to make the whole character. All right. And the next character related with this variation is low. And this is the character that we learned in the second floor, the first floor, right? And it has got a left-hand side and also two parts on the right-hand side. And the thing is, if we break it down, things will become much easier. So we have a look at the left-hand side. And again, it is a recycled part. Can you see? It is not that unfamiliar to us because we practice the mu in T on the right-hand side completely, and also at the bottom right side of 操场的操, we did the tree or the wood radical again. And right now, this wood appears on the left-hand side. So we can easily do it. All we need to do is just completely follow the writing sequence. So 横, 竖, right? 撇. The only thing that is slightly different is we need to leave room for the coming right side writing. So we need to shrink the 那 into a 点, a smaller dot. Okay? Now on the right hand side, the upper right corner is a rise radical, 米, right? And again, in the middle, we can see another mu. Can you see? The only difference is it has got two dots on the top. So of course, we get the two dots finished first. And then following that, all we need to do is just follow the sequence of the writing for the mu. Can you see? This is another time we write the mu, 横竖撇捺, right? Now, so whenever there are some dots on the top, we do the dots first. Or whenever there is a horizontal line somewhere toward the end, and we just put it down here. Okay? And the last one is a girl radical, 女, okay? So we learned that whenever we need to write some of the characters that are related with women, female, girls, right? So we do 撇点 and then 撇 and the 横, right? And do the same thing in your own practice. Break it down into different sections and pick out the part that you feel most challenging and just practice on that until you feel familiar with that and put them together. All right. Now let's have a look at the next variation. 教室的教, okay? So for the 教室的教, on the right-hand side, there's a complete part. But on the left-hand side, we can see an upper part and a bottom part. And of course, the writing sequence within this kind of a variation is 1, 2, and 3. Because no matter how we divide it or subdivide it, the writing sequence, again, is following the rule of left to right, top to bottom. So on the left-hand side, have a look at here. Looks like very complicated, but if we break it down, it will become much easier, right? So on the upper left corner, I hope you can recall what we did initially for the 场. Can you see there is a mud, 土地的土, and we will do the same thing up here. So 横竖横, and that's it. And there is a left falling stroke connecting the upper and bottom parts of left-hand side. Now let's do that. 撇, right? So we can use this stroke as a connection stroke. And then down here, we can see a son or boy child radical, right? We learned this one. We learned this boy child in 学校的学. I hope you can still recall the looking of 学校的学, right? And also, I just reminded you of the character of 字, right? So This is a highly repeatable radical, which we also use here. So 横撇, and then one go, and then here is a T. All right, so that's it for the left-hand side. It's not that complicated if you can break things down correctly. And then on the right-hand side, there's a complete part. 撇, 横, 撇, 捺, right? So that's 教, 教室的教, meaning teaching. Okay, excellent. And next one, let's have a look at the structure of top and bottom. And the one we are learning today is 体育的育, the education character. It has got an upper part and a bottom part. So the upper part starts with a top, right? It looks like a lid, plus a triangle, 撇折点. We did 撇折点 in lots of other occasions. For example, in the 云, we did that, right? And also in 会, that we learned in lesson 9, we also had 撇折点, so 撇折点 everywhere. And the bottom one is, of course, a character you have already known, which is a 月, right? It's a moon. So we just go 竖, 横折钩, right? Now remember there are two horizontal strokes in the middle. 体育的育, 育. All right, excellent. Now let's have a look at its variation. So 堂, 礼堂的堂 has got 3 parts. And again, if we look at this character as a whole, it looks like, again, very complicated. But if you can correctly break it down into structures, into sections, all of a sudden it will become much easier. So the top part is a kind of lid. And we've been learning different kinds of lid today, right? We have learned the lid, like in 馆, in this way. This is kind of a top or lid. And also in 玉, we learned one that is like this, right? And right now, there's another kind of top, which has got 3 strokes rather than only 1. So we start from the middle one, and then the 2 on both sides, and then 竖点横钩. Right? We've got 3. These 3 look like different hats used for different characters, right? So we just put this top in here. 竖点点, and then 竖横折横钩. Now you can easily identify what is in the middle. Can you see? And that is a 口. And also at the bottom, there is a 图, which we have already practiced. 图. And also we've got another 图 in here. Right? And we did the 口 a lot. It's like we just borrow. We use the same radical in different places. So in the middle part, we've got a 口. Right? And then the bottom part is a 图. It is okay if you just cross the line a little bit to join these 2 parts. Close that off. 堂, 堂. And the last one is for the new structure. Here we've got a character of 图书馆的图, 图书馆的图. So this character it by itself means picture. So have a think about what you can see in the picture in real life. So usually if you go to the art gallery and when you see the pictures, it is framed, right? You can see the picture with the nice frame around it. And here we can also see a frame outside with a picture in the middle. Now, for those who really knows what is in the middle here, should know this middle radical is a winter, right? It is a winter, but it's okay if you don't know. And last time in our class, we already talked about how to write this kind of character. So for example, when we write the character of number 4, right, it is with the same structure. So we go for half of the box, okay? And then putting the contents. And then we close the box. All right? So if we can apply the same rule to the new character, even if they are totally different. So with this kind of structure, of course, we will start with the outside one, right? And then number 2, and also close it, 3, if there is horizontal line closing the whole box. So let's write this character in the structure. So the first one is start again. So we've got 入, right? 横折. And don't close the box yet because we still have got something in the middle. So we go 撇, 横撇, and 捺. Now remember, this is in the middle one, there is a winter radical. So it looks like it is snowing. 2 snowflakes. And then once we put the middle picture inside of the frame and we close it. So we close it. That makes 图书馆的图. And remember, the writing sequence of this character, 图书馆的图, is exactly the same as the writing of 1, 2, 3, 4, the 4 character. All right, so these are all the characters and structures we have to learn in lesson 10. So make sure you, again, identify yourself as a Chinese character engineer and work out the structures first, and then practice these characters according to the structures. All right, next, let's have a look at this exercise. Learn the radicals. 操场的操, we just looked at the character learning of 操场的操. So on the left-hand side, there's a radical of hand. Because when you are doing exercise or when you are doing sports, you need to use your hand to carry any devices, to do some exercises. And then 管 by itself, the whole character means the cultural area. But on the left-hand side, there is a food radical. Next exercise, say the meaning of each radical, all right? So 这, what is the radical of this character? So it has got the 点 and 折, go. And this is a walking radical. And what is the radical of this one? It has got the top one, right, which is a sun. And what about 图书馆的图? Some people will say it has got a 口 radical, the other side one. And 场, we can pick up the left-hand side one, and that means the earth or the mud. 糖, some people may say it has got this radical. It's a top one. Or some people may just pick up the bottom one, meaning the same as the 长 radical. And that is a 土. And then for 教, it has got the right side, which means the education or maybe culture. And then for the low, we can pick up the left-hand side, right? And that is a mu, a tree. Because traditionally, still that is happening in Australia. A lot of buildings, houses are built with wood. And also for li, we pick up the left-hand side, which means revelation, right? So that's basically means li means ceremony. And for the ceremony to go ahead, in the traditional way or the religious way, there needs to be some revelation. And also for 体育的育, we can pick up the moon radical at the bottom. And for the 是, again, we can pick up the top one, which is a top, and also a 图. And if that is the case, that is the same as the 唐 radical. So both of these two characters share the same radical. All right. Now it's your turn to have a look at these activities in your textbook, right? To learn the characters and also write out the characters for these. So for the first one is 现在 meaning now. So make sure you can find it. You can either recall it from your memory or find it from the most recent or the current lesson in your textbook. The second one is 会 meaning can. And we did the quiz about it last time. Number 3, 说 speak. Also, we learned this in lesson 9. Number 4, 语言 language. And again, we learned that in lesson 9. See whether you can still remember. 想 want or would like, desire. And again, we learned it in lesson 9. The next one is 班 Now, this one is a bit tricky, and see whether you can find it from any lessons, especially lesson 10. Next, we can ask our partner these questions, and we can do a survey. But before we can do that, make sure you can read and understand these questions. Number 1, 第一个，你的学校大吗？你的学校大吗？ Is your school big? Is your school big? Number 2, 你的学校有礼堂吗？你的学校有礼堂吗？ Can you figure out the meaning? 礼堂大吗？礼堂大吗？ Is there an assembly hall at your school? And is it big? 第三个，你们学校有体育馆吗？你的学校有体育馆吗？体育馆大吗？体育馆大吗？ Now, if you can figure out the meaning of question number 2, and now there's only one replacement of one area in question 3. Does your school have the gym? And is it big? Number 4, 你的学校有操场吗？你的学校有操场吗？操场大吗？操场大吗？ And that's again very similar. Does your school have a playground? Is it big? 第5, 你在几班？你在几班？ Which class are you in? 第6, 你的教室在几楼？你的教室在几楼？ On which floor is your classroom? All right, now let's have a look at this small quiz. Read aloud and say the meaning of each phrase. So make sure you can read all of them and then tell the meaning. The first one, 图书馆 library 2操场 the playground 3教室 classroom 4学校 school 5体育馆 gym 6礼堂 the assembly hall 7语言 language 8汉语 Chinese 9英语 English 10住 live 11会 can able 12说 speak talk. Alright, that's all for lesson 10. 谢谢，再见。